Hello YouTube, Travis here, and this is Curious Tangents. Today we'll be talking about cognitive biases and how they impact the way that you see the world. Later we'll be talking about how, you actually don't see the world at all, and indirect reasoning makes it impossible for humanity to have an accurate description of the world around them. But that's for the end. Biases are often used in negative connotations and they are often detrimental. However, they can also be useful. What a bias is really just a mental shortcut. In a situation where the brain has more information than it has time to take in that information, the brain makes judgments based on preconceived notions. In theory. In practice, the brain also does this when it has plenty of time and is just lazy. These biases would have been far more useful in an environment where we had less time and information in order to make our decisions. In today's world, we have, we're still stressed for time. However, we have tons of information of which to form our decisions upon. And the first of these biases is going to be confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is the tendency to look for information that confirms your already existing beliefs. And this has been quite a big problem in modern society. Confirmation bias is the explanation for why you and I could have opposing viewpoints on a topic. Read an article on that topic, which is in support of neither of us, and come away from it believing more fervently in what we did initially. And this has been amplified in recent years by online echo chambers. Echo chambers are environments where your viewpoint is reflected back to you. And that is the only viewpoint. This has always been a problem, and echo chambers have always been a thing. However, online echo chambers are rather new. Now, in previous years, it would have been difficult to get into a situation like this unless you joined a cult. But today, you can just join Facebook. That's an oversimple analysis. However, it gets the point across, and brings me to the second bias. Framing. The framing fallacy, also known as the false dichotomy, is the topic of my video called Is a Hyena a Cat or a Dog? And if you haven't seen the video, go ahead and comment which one you think it is. So framing is providing facts in a particular manner in order to influence the judgment of the people you're giving the facts to. Framing is one of the easiest concepts to use on people. Typically, it's used in sales and always in education. I know because I used to work in sales. So when someone is selling you something, oftentimes they will give you an option of buying one thing, and then they will give you an option of a separately priced thing that is just barely alternative to the first thing. And that's all the options. We can also do this with the political spectrum. For instance, the political spectrum includes more than a liberal and conservative. However, if we only ask people if they're liberal or conservative, they will tend to put themselves in one basket or the other and fall in line. Creating the framework in another person's mind that they have these two choices and that's it makes them choose. Well, typically makes them choose. If you only reiterate these two options, people will tend to fall into one basket or the other, and then they will fall in line. Our third bias is called groupthink, also known as collectivist thinking, also known as herd mentality. Humans, when placed in a group, tend to make decisions together, and these decisions tend to be cohesive. Breaking that cohesiveness causes a feeling of intense anxiety, panic, and even a fight or flight response. And the name of that feeling is awkwardness. Awkwardness evolved as a way to uphold the social contract. Groupthink can also be called conformity. And it is a big part of life if you enjoy living in a society. However, its biggest downfall is that it strongly diminishes critical thought. People tend to go along with the herd regardless of what they themselves believe. It is difficult to make political decisions that are opposite your family. The use of things like shame, guilt tripping, and beauty standards could all be seen as ways to increase social cohesion. Rewind the video about 10 seconds and see if you can catch what I just did. Did you catch it? I am framing this information. When talking about groupthink, I gave you only negative connotations, while positive examples do exist. Like the fact that society exists at all is in some degree a subset of group thinking. Ergo, I can also attribute some of the positive features of society to groupthink. Don't get me wrong, groupthink has never been less necessary and is responsible for quite a few problems. By the way, I have a video on awkwardness in the works. Intolerant societies were less accepting, obviously, of people who did not confer to groupthink. In fact, a simple breaking of a social norm or an awkward moment around Joseph Stalin was enough to get you killed and erased from the history books. I'm not kidding, Joseph Stalin would literally erase people from photos after he had them killed. It's disturbing. Tolerant societies, which accept people who go against the grain, are far more productive and far better places to live. Biases can be looked at as the gap between reality and our perception of that reality. For instance, you have probably noticed these paintings on my wall. This one is always in my video, and this one is usually in my video. However, you probably did not notice me switch them from the beginning. This painting was there, that painting was here. Now, without having ever told you to go back to the beginning of the video, I can know that most of you probably did. And you then realize that I lied to you. Those paintings didn't switch positions. They're always like that. In The Critique of Pure Reason by Immanuel Kant, he presents the argument of indirect realism, or the idea that we do not see the world for all that it is. We see our human interpretation of it. I also have a video on this called Why is the Sky Blue? It is basically saying that there is a gap between how the world is and how we see the world. And biases can be looked at as part of the gap. When information is presented to us, we pass judgment over it. We also pass judgment over people. And the people who know of that judgment can manipulate it. For instance, I wear glasses not because I need glasses. I wear glasses because I would like to look intelligent. And I know that people who wear glasses are perceived as more intelligent. I also do it to cover up the fact that my right eye is a little lazy, but primarily to look smart. Most things are biased in some way. Things that have run through human hands are almost always biased. Education is biased. For instance, look at who wrote your textbooks. One of my history teacher's favorite sayings is that history is written by the victors. Now, that statement is not meant to pick out individual people. Primarily, I mean the companies who write the textbooks. Because the companies who get the deal to write the textbooks have the ability to order the facts however they would like. All of the words in the script used for the video have been carefully selected in order to transmit the ideas from my head into your head, my audience. And that is a workable definition of education. It is also a workable definition of manipulation. My goal with this video was to give you a better understanding of biases, because no one is exempt from psychology. And with a better understanding of biases, you can better navigate the spectrum of education and manipulation. And thank you for watching. By the way, if you would like to manipulate the algorithm in my favor, hit the like button and subscribe. Or just subscribe because you like me. That is also acceptable.